What if the authentic Chinese meal you've ordered your entire life was actually a product of American engineering? What if the fiery spice that defines the Sichuan palate was a foreign import that didn't arrive in China until the late 16th century? The truth is, the Chinese takeout menu is one of the most successful marketing maneuvers in history. Most of what you think you know about Chinese food is an illusion, a story of survival, adaptation, and accidental genius. I'm Drew, and today on the Origin Archive, we are auditing the DNA of the Chinese American kitchen. We're counting down 10 iconic dishes to find out where they actually began, who invented them, and why the truth is far more interesting than the legend. The archive entries. 1. Fortune cookies, the Japanese blueprint. We start with the most famous Chinese symbol in the West. But if you went to Beijing and asked for a fortune cookie, you'd be met with blank stares. These weren't born in China. They were engineered in early 20th century California. The most likely architect was Makoto Hagiwara, a Japanese landscape designer in San Francisco. The design was actually based on a centuries-old Japanese temple cracker called Sujura Senbei. It wasn't until World War II that Chinese-American restaurants adopted the cookie to meet the demands of American sailors. Today, 3 billion are made annually, almost all of them in the U.S. too. Chop suey, the survival scramble. In the late 1800s, chop suey was the face of exotic dining in America. But it wasn't an ancient recipe from a royal court, it was a dish of desperation. The name comes from the Cantonese sap suey, meaning miscellaneous leftovers. It was cobbled together by Chinese immigrant laborers in New York who had to feed hungry American workers with whatever scraps remained in the kitchen. It was a poor man's scramble, dressed up as high-end cuisine. When Chinese diplomats visited America and were served the dish, they didn't recognize a single bite. 3. General Tso's chicken, the Manhattan Macchio. General Tso's is the undisputed king of the takeout box, but the general himself, a real 19th century Qing dynasty warrior, never tasted it. The dish was created in the 1970s by Chef Peng Chung Kui in New York City. His original version was bitter and salty, true to his Hunanese roots. But to survive the American market, he flooded the recipe with sugar. When the dish was eventually introduced back to Hunan, locals found it bewilderingly sweet. It's not Chinese history, it's a Manhattan success story. 4. Egg rolls, the New York upgrew. The egg roll is the universal opening act of the American meal, but it is a distinct departure from the Chinese spring roll. The spring roll is a delicate, thin-skinned pastry eaten during the Spring Festival in southern China. The American egg roll, thick, doughy, and deep-fried, was likely invented in 1930s New York. Restaurateur Lum Fong is often credited with the thick-skin innovation. It was a transformation designed to survive the deep fryer and satisfy the American love for crunch. 5. Chow mein, the California substitute. Unlike other items on this list, chow mein has legitimate roots in the Mandarin cow mian, or stir-fried noodles. However, the version the world eats today was reshaped by 19th century immigrants in California. They couldn't find traditional ingredients, so they improvised with bean sprouts and celery, drenching it in cornstarch-thickened sauces. It became so popular that even Butte, Montana, developed its own regional version. It's a 4,000-year-old tradition, rebuilt by people simply trying to replicate the taste of home with what was available at the local market. 6. Kung Pao chicken, the feudal fuguiken. Kung Pao is actually genuinely Chinese, named after Ding Baozhen, a governor whose title was Gong Bao. But the story has a dark twist. During China's Cultural Revolution in the 1960s, the dish was literally banned. It was declared a symbol of feudal elitism because of its association with the imperial government. It survived in secret, went underground, and eventually resurfaced. When it traveled to America, the heat was toned down, and the sugar was dialed up, creating two separate versions of the same legend. 7. Fried rice, the practical evolution. Fried rice is ancient, dating back to the Sui dynasty in 600 AD. It was born from the practical need to recycle day-old, dried-out rice, but the versions we eat now, loaded with Spam in Hawaii or pineapple in Thailand, are modern, regional reinventions. The wok hei, or the breath of the wok, found in authentic Chinese kitchens, is often missing in Western versions, replaced by a sweeter, heavier flavor profile that an ancient Sui dynasty cook wouldn't recognize. 8. Dim sum, the Hong Kong theater. While dim sum began as a modest tea house tradition along the Silk Road, the trolley and steamer spectacle we know today is actually a mid-20th century Hong Kong innovation. It was Hong Kong's urban tea culture that turned a simple roadside rest stop into a theatrical dining event. When you sit down for dim sum in London or Sydney, you aren't experiencing the Silk Road, you're experiencing 1950s Hong Kong. 9. Sweet and sour pork, the Transition. China has a long tradition of balancing sugar and vinegar, but the neon orange, pineapple-studded version was engineered specifically for foreign palates. Early Cantonese immigrants realized Westerners found authentic sweet and sour too sharp and unfamiliar. They didn't dumb it down, they translated it. They added pineapple purely because Western diners associated it with exotic luxury. The translation ended up becoming more famous than the original. 10. Chili peppers, the great Ixia. Sichuan food without chilies is unthinkable today. But every single chili pepper in China is a descendant of South American seeds. Chilies didn't reach the Sichuan basin until roughly 400 years ago, brought by traders after Columbus returned from the Americas. Before that, Sichuan heat came from ginger and peppercorns. China is now the world's largest consumer of chilies, proving that the most Chinese flavor in the world actually came from the other side of the planet. The Chinese menu isn't a museum of ancient recipes, it's a living record of migration, survival, and reinvention. Every dish you think you know has a secret origin story hidden beneath the sauce. Which of these audits surprised you the most? If you've discovered a secret about your favorite takeout, let us know in the comments. Stay curious. Keep auditing the archive. The Origin Archive out.